What is going on, traders? We got a lot to discuss. Before we get into that, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So today was really interesting. I mean, everything tanked after hours. We had AMD earnings, we had Amazon earnings, we had SMCI earnings, and everything absolutely tanked and took the market right along with it. So, what are my expectations heading into tomorrow? So, if you don't know, tomorrow we got a lot of news tomorrow. I mean, a lot. We got non farm payrolls, we got ISM, we got job openings, we got PMI, we got FOMC statement, press conference. We got a lot going on tomorrow. But hear me out here. Hear me out. Actually, let me go back to that screen. Hear me out. I don't think this is relevant. I don't. Before you click off, hear me out. I don't think this is relevant. Why? Because what have we been seeing throughout the market? Last season and this season, right? Or last quarter and this quarter. What has the market paid attention to more than anything? Earnings. If today doesn't prove that, I don't know what will. But Google earnings. When we were all the way down to like at 500, what did Google earnings? It recovered us and took us all the way to 510. Today, what do we see? AMD, Amazon, SMCI, they all tanked. And what happened? It took the market with it. Meta earnings. What happened? Meta tanked. It took the market with it. The only thing that the market seems to really or did really pay attention to is the Iran news. That was it. Other than that, all of this stuff, the market seems not to care about, or at least investors and whales and institutions don't seem to really care about. It's just more so noise, in my opinion. So, if I had to guess, on what the major catalyst that's going to decide the next direction of the market, it will be Apple earnings. And I told you guys, my target on Apple still remains the same. My target on Apple is still 155. So much so that I alerted a trade in the Discord right here. 155 puts for May 24th. They're like $60 a contract. And then I, let them know that it is risky because they have earnings. And I do have a price target of 140, but we're going to stick to the 155 for now. And then we'll talk about 140 later. But other than that, I think the market is going to care more about Apple earnings than anything. I mean, we've consistently see it. We've seen it. We've seen it today. We've seen it last week. We've seen it the week before. We've seen it last earnings season. What happened last earnings season? Nvidia and all the semiconductors went ballistic and took the market with it. I'm just saying. Really think about it. All right. So looking at the ES. So in like 2 videos ago, I showed you guys that there was an inverted cup and handle pattern, and it looks like it's trying to play out. Playing out a lot sooner than I thought. So my expectations in my last video was kind of like we just hug the top of this pattern until we get to like right here and maybe touch this trend. And I would have absolutely loved this move. The only issue was that if we look at NQ, well, not NQ, but if we look at the triple Qs, my only issue is that everybody on social media, Twitter, YouTube, everybody was like just blurting out this 436 level. And usually, when a lot of traders are talking about a level, you might want to invalidate it short term because I feel like institutions pay attention to stuff like that. I mean, they do have social media, I assume. And so when all the traders in the world are saying Qs are going to 436 and then the market's going to drop, it's kind of scary to even play it at that point. So, me personally, I'm going to kind of invalidate this level at least for this week until we get at least back above 430 on the triple Qs. We get back above 430, then I'll make this level valid again, this 436 level. But for now, with everybody talking about it and just basically how we closed, I'm not going to focus too hard on this level, and then I'm just going to stick to trading my strategy. Okay. So, you can do what you want. If you feel like the Qs can still recover to 436, by all means, stick to that. But for now, with everybody talking about it, it's just I'm just going to invalidate it at least for this week. But it still is a key level in my opinion, and maybe long term, maybe in next week or something, we come to retest this level. Now, if we do just so happen to get above 430 on the triple Qs, maybe let's say tomorrow. I mean, it's not impossible with all the news that we have, and we do get above 430, then absolutely I think we're going to start heading towards that 436 level. I mean, we haven't closed below this bearish flag pattern or this bear flag pattern, and we haven't gotten below 500 or 499 even on the SPY after hours. Now, can that change in the morning? Absolutely. So I would be looking out for that if I were you. So we could in the morning, I mean, we do have a reversal hammer pattern here. In the morning, we could get right back above 505 or 506 if you want to be safe and start heading back to that 510 level. Or and then if we get above 510, we head towards 511.5 and then 513. So that is possible. It's a big move, granted, but it is possible that we start seeing, a recovery tomorrow or even the next day. But what I would be paying attention to more than anything is Apple earnings. Okay, and we'll get into that in a bit. As far as in Q, I mean it's pretty much the same thing as the ES. I mean we're looking at the same thing. There is an inverse cup and handle pattern here, and we're inside this bear flag as well. The only difference is within Q is that we're below a supply and demand zone. We broke below 17,600. So your next key level is 17,400. I would say 17,309, 390 to be safe. And after that, you're looking at a move all the way towards 17,280, give or take. Okay. So those are your key levels as far as the NQ. If we break back above 17,830, then I think that pretty much validates that we're going to head towards 436 with the triple Qs. But if we do break back above 17,830 as far as the NQ goes, then chances are we're heading towards that 18,100 level that I was talking about. And then we are probably going to be looking at the top of this cup and handle trend right here, where we head up here. So let me mark it out for you guys. So if we do just so happen to recover tomorrow or even the rest of the week, right? We could be looking at a move like this and then the real drop actually comes in. So that is a possibility. But if tomorrow we just so happen to gap down or we continue to break down, then I think short term this is completely invalidated. This move right here is just completely invalidated. So I would be looking out for that. As far as ES goes, you want to see us break back above 5100 at least, and then your next target is about 5124, 5126, give or take. If you break back above the supply and demand zone, this 4 hour supply and demand zone, and get back above 5124, then you have a good chance to head towards 5180, 5166, give or take. Okay, one between those two levels. But if you just so happen to just break down, like immediately start breaking down tomorrow, which it looks like that is on the table since we're breaking this trend, we could be heading towards 5140. And after 5140, you're looking at a move towards 5006, okay, which is our next supply and demand zone. So I will be looking out for that. Overall, my target on the ES is still 4800. The issue is that everybody's calling for that target as well. So yeah, you know how that goes. Um, and that's what I'm looking at. Again, I think Apple earnings is going to be the ultimate decider of everything as far as the SPY goes. If we break below 499, I would say 499 just to be safe. 500 is a key level, but I'm going to go with 499 here just to be safe. You break below 499, you're heading towards 497. You break below 497, you're headed towards 495. My target on the SPY, at least for the bearish side, is 490. I think we're going to head towards 490. Not from here. I'm not, I'm not saying like right away, but that is a target. If the move as if we start recovering from here as far as the SPY goes, again we break above 505 or 504, then we're heading towards 510. Well, we'll say 507 to be on the safe side. 507 and then 509, and then you break above 510, you're heading towards 511.5, and then you can go as high as 515. Okay, can that all happen tomorrow? I mean, we with all this news tomorrow, I mean, it's possible. I don't know if we're gonna make all the way to 515, but I would say we could revisit 510. It just depends on how we open. If we just so happen to just like start recovering overnight, like we just start going to the upside overnight and maybe even gap up in the morning, then that move is absolutely possible. But if we continue downwards, then I don't think that move is going to happen, at least in the near future. Okay. Triple Qs. I told you guys, 425 was your key level. We broke below that, and I believe there was a gap that was to be filled. So yeah, we pretty much filled the gap. So yeah, I mean, again, we could be looking at a recovery tomorrow, like a dead cat bounce, if anything. I mean, bears are pretty strong in this candle. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. This is a very strong bearish candle, and not only that, this is an evening star, which is a very strong bearish pattern as well. So I would be careful with this. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to drop down. I mean, evening stars we can pull one of these moves tomorrow where we just retest the top of the supply and demand zone at around 429 because we did just leave 429 and like didn't look back and then we break down. So that is on the table. All right. Overall, I mean, be cautious trading tomorrow. I said this in the last video. You really should be careful trading tomorrow. Again, I mean, there is a reversal pattern here. We've seen it on the SPY as well. If we just so happen to break above 430 and actually like get a strong close above 430, then yeah, 436 is back on the table. But if we just are simply retesting 429, I meant to actually mark that move out, but you guys get the idea. If we retest 429 and we just reject it, then I think we're done. We create a lower high here, and then we break further down. We break out of this bear flag, and then we just are cooked. We're cooked, okay? And that would mean that this pattern that people were talking crazy about in my comments, this pattern would play out, okay? So yeah, it's not looking good. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's not looking good. I don't think we're going to continue down tomorrow. I don't think we're just going to open and continue down. I mean, news can obviously change that, but again, I don't trade based on news. I trade just based on what the charts give me. If ES just continues like this right here on the 4 hour time frame, if it continues like this, then by all means we could just start plummeting down. If we can get a bounce off 540 or at least reclaim 580, then we have a chance. But if we do one of these moves, create maybe a lower high right here, retest 50, 80, and then head further down, then yeah, we're cooked. Okay. So that would be the move that I would be looking for, or those would be the moves that I would be looking for at least heading into tomorrow. Me personally, I'm probably not going to trade tomorrow. I'm just not. I think that's with Apple earnings right after like at close tomorrow, it's scary. It's really scary to trade. Okay. If anything, I think tomorrow will be more so of a scalpers and a day traders market. I'm not much of a day trader or a scalper. I'm more so of a swing trader. I think if you want to swing trade, you really want to have far out contracts, like a week or two out. Unless you really know what you're doing, then by all means, do what you want to do. Looking at Bitcoin, I told you guys, I think Bitcoin is cooked. I think it's done. I think it's going to start heading towards 52K. Simple as that. I know, people find that hard to believe and think Bitcoin just is going to go up. And here's the reason. Here's one of the main reasons why I think Bitcoin is going to go down. And a lot of traders don't think about this. And what's crazy is I'm not even like a crypto fanatic or anything, but I just think this makes sense. When Bitcoin hit all-time highs, at like what 73, 74K, altcoins didn't do anything. They just went up, but they didn't even break all-time highs. And sure, you got like new altcoins coming out the woodworks and things like that. Sure, they probably broke their all-time highs, but the ones from the last halving, they never broke their all-time highs. They pretty much majority of them didn't break their all-time highs. They stayed stagnant. They just went up, a little bit, but they stayed stagnant. That alone, and then we even saw Ethereum do the same thing. It broke its all-time highs. But overall, all coins just pretty much sat back and relaxed. They didn't really do anything. That alone should tell you that they are not ready, that something is coming. Okay. My thought process is that okay, since altcoins didn't like break all-time highs, that means another drop is coming. And then on the next rally towards 100K, because I do think Bitcoin is going to head towards 100K sometime this year. And the next rally, that is when altcoins are going to start picking up and join Bitcoin and Ethereum. I mean, take what you want from that, but I thought that was pretty obvious. A lot of these so-called crypto gurus can't even tell you that, or didn't even put that correlation together, and they just are blabbering to the moon, to the moon, to the moon. Bitcoin's going to go to 100K soon. The halving is over, and Bitcoin didn't drop, so that means it's going to go to 100K from here. No. Why would Bitcoin drop on the day of the halving where everybody's expecting it to drop? Like, on what planet do you guys think that institutions want you to be all of you want to be billionaires? Like, no, all of us would be millionaires if that was the case, because all of us would expect that. So, sometimes you just got to use logic when it comes to trading, or investing into crypto and things like that. Like, you just have to think a little bit. You didn't see altcoins break all-time highs, so that should tell you or give you some type of warning that, okay, maybe Bitcoin won't hit 100K, because we saw Bitcoin hit all-time highs. Why didn't altcoins follow? So that's my thoughts on it. That's my little rant on it. Looking at Tesla. So congratulations to everybody who took the Tesla trade. Um, I think I talked about it last video. So here is the Tesla trade. Um, we did 175 puts on Tesla, and we made like a nice, well, I made like a nice little 150 plus percent on it. I'm still in my trades, but I did give the option for everybody to close their trade at 40%. I always try to make sure, small accounts at least pay themselves, or new traders do pay themselves. So yeah, nice little play there. We're still in Tesla puts, or I'm still in Tesla puts, and so far it's still continuing to drop. I think Tesla is just going to start heading towards 170 at this point, and it looks like that's what's happening. We did get in at around 197 on those puts. So yeah, it's gonna look like a nice little payday tomorrow if we continue down on Tesla. We're also in AMD calls. It was a risky play. Yeah, we're getting cooked on that one. I think AMD is just gonna head towards 138 from here. I do. That was originally my target. I honestly forgot that was my target, sadly. Otherwise, I wouldn't even took this trade. But I only did one contract. If you don't believe me and you think I'm like coping or anything, um, I'm in AMD 190 calls for May 3rd. Only one contract. It was like $40, $44. I mean, right here. I said, if you're on your last meal and you need this $44, then you shouldn't trade it. So, yeah. So, didn't break the bank or anything, but we will count that as a loss. PayPal, I told you guys about PayPal. I think last video we were in PayPal 70 calls for May 3rd. We only made like $2 off of it. Earnings was pretty much an IV crush, sort of, kinda. So closed it at like $2 profit. So yeah, it didn't make much off PayPal. But yeah, I think AMD from this point on, I mean, she's this thing is still dropping. I think AMD is going to start heading towards 138. That is my target. I don't know where all my charts went, or everything I had up went. SMCI, I don't really pay attention to. I just can't take SMCI seriously. I'm sorry. I just think it's a meme. I don't think, I don't know. It's just weird how it just came out of nowhere, in my opinion. Like, now everybody's talking about it. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at as far as AMD. I think it's going to head towards 138 from this point on. Maybe we see like a dead cat bounce tomorrow or something like that. But 138 is my target on AMD. My long bearish target on AMD is about 120. Amazon, I'm genuinely shocked that it didn't beat earnings, or it didn't react good to earnings. It pretty much just IV crushed everybody. So I'm kind of glad I didn't play this, because I was thinking to play it, but I didn't want to like overextend myself and be in like so many risky plays. From here, I think Amazon. If Amazon gets below 166, I believe there's a gap that's just has yet to be filled. Yeah, if Amazon gets below 166, I think it's just going to head towards 161. At this point, I think that's what's going to happen across the market, guys. I honestly think that stocks are just going to start filling these gaps to the downside. And it's crazy because when I give out price targets, that's normally a lot of these price targets are where gaps are, and people just argue with me, and they're just like, "Yeah, it can't go there," and I'm just like, "Dude, there's a gap here that needs to be filled. Like, why is this an impossible target? Like, what, you know?" And even analysis have a lot of these targets as well. So if you want to argue with them, Google, this was a no-brainer. I just don't trade Google. I just hate how it moves. But yeah, I think Google's going to start heading towards 160. I mean, that's a no-brainer. 160, 159. If Google breaks below this guy here, below 150, then I think it's cooked at that point. I think it's just going to start heading towards the 140s. But yeah, Google hit the top of this pattern. They pretty much rejected this wedge, and so far it's breaking below this guy right here. And I think we're just going to head lower at that point. So yeah, across the board, I mean, it just looks bad across the board, guys. Last thing, as far as Bitcoin go, I do expect maybe one more retest. It's probably going to happen overnight at around 62K, and then I think it's just going to head towards that 57K target. So yeah, that's all I have, guys. Tomorrow, be very cautious. I'm not trading tomorrow. I'm just not. I'm probably saying that now, and I end up trading tomorrow. But I'm going to sit on my hands. I'm going to sit on the trades that I already have, which is Tesla puts, Apple puts, and then I'm going to close the AMD calls in the morning because that's going to be worthless. The little $44 I lost there, and yeah, that's about it. So hopefully you got something out this video. Like, subscribe, comment. If you agree or disagree with anything I say, feel free to comment your thoughts below. I could be wrong. And until the next video, traders, have a good one.